Great, amazing. So we are ready. Let's start. All right, welcome everyone on today's demo. It's 12th demo for No Wallet, and today we're going to, well, pretty much as usual, we're going to review first our recent releases for Android and iOS. Then we're going to discuss, I would say, the main topic of today's demo, which would be new features for staking. We are going to discuss the Moonbeam and Moonriver staking in No Wallet, as well as we're going to touch base for the cross-chain transfers and see what we have in this direction already in terms of the mockups and the prototypes. The next topic would be that we will remind the community that we are open for the suggestions for our new Kusama Treasury proposal or next Kusama Treasury proposal. And we also will spend some time to review existing ones. And then we're going to finalize this presentation reviewing our roadmap and priorities. So let's start. Yeah, let's give some more time for others to join while reviewing our social media. So you can always get the latest updates from our website and the links to download the apps. So feel free to visit nowallet.io. Also, feel free to join our Telegram group, follow us on Twitter, join group in Element, subscribe to Medium and the YouTube, where we, by the way, publish all our demos and the slides. And let's proceed. So we finally balanced our versioning for iOS and Android. I think it's not for a while because, yeah, we have a different velocity. So yeah, expect it to be different in the next release. But yeah, for now we have both iOS and Android as version 2.7. And for the Android, that was an update which actually brought the UVM DApp support. And that's actually really a great update since it allows you to utilize the No Wallet as an application which allows you to connect to the Ethereum-like applications like let's say the Moonbeam or some Astar applications. And you can see pretty much on the right side of the screen that we basically have the Moonbeam DApp, the SolarBeam DApp, and there are tons of the different applications already deployed on the Moonbeam, Moonriver, Shiden, the Astar networks. So now it's available to be explored from the Android. And just a remark that on iOS, it's available as well. We also improved the performance of the DApp browser in this update and add additional account validations for DApp browser. So overall experience is now slightly better in terms of the browsing the web using the No browser. So yeah, get the latest update from the Google Play. For the iOS, version 2.7 finalized the Kusama Treasury proposal in terms of the user interface, the update, mostly focusing on the staking features. So now iOS users can experience the updated interface for all the features for staking, like the main screen, all the operations like a stake more, the unstake, and so on. So now we finalized basically the Kusama Treasury proposal deliverables for both platforms, which is nice. Just a remark here, it doesn't mean that we stop on updating user interface or improving it with time. That was just what we have promised to Kusama Treasury. So if you feel that we can improve somehow the user interface or introduce some features to improve the UX, feel free to express it. And we will even discuss it, how you can do this later on. All right, so that was for the review of recent updates and releases. So now let's see what we have as upcoming features. Let's start from Moonbeam and Moonriver staking. As many of you know, we actually received the grant from the Moonbeam Foundation to develop certain features of their networks, Moonbeam and Moonriver. And in terms of the staking, here's the list of the features which we are going to cover in terms of our first grant together with them. So of course, you're going to see your staked balance, your staking rewards, as you can see on this screen. It's worth to mention that the UX itself and probably even user interface would be very similar to what you have for the Polkadot and Kusama staking in No Wallet. So you can expect kind of similarities, but in fact, those are, let's say, two different approaches how users can stake the tokens, and we will see it today on the prototypes and on the demo. But going back to the list of the features, we're going to implement the start staking flow. So users would be able to initialize the staking, of course. That will include the entering the amount and the collator. Collator is just analogy for the validators, but on the parachains. It would be possible to stake more tokens, so increase your staking, as well as decrease your staking as unstaking tokens. And last two features here is I would say the managing your collators, so you can view them and basically do any operations like removing or adding new collators. And the last one is basically what I already described is removing delegation or revoking your delegation or stop staking with certain collator. Right, so let's switch to the Android application right now to see what we already have in terms of the Moonbeam and Moonriver staking. And then we also will switch to the prototypes or the mockups to see how the whole picture for the Moonbeam and Moonriver staking will look like. So just give me a second. Can you see my Android emulator here on the left part of the screen? Or let me move it in the center. Great, thank you. So yeah, as I mentioned, the user interface and the user experience would be mostly the same, which means that to start or to manage your Moonbeam or Moonriver staking right now, all you need to do is to basically proceed to the staking tab, right? And here on the top, we already have an option to select an asset to stake. So you will see additional two options, which are GLMR and MOVR tokens to be staked. So for the for the Polkadot staking, it's pretty much looks like the following. So we have, the token selector, then we have basically the information about staking, and then we have the widget with estimated earnings, and you can get the more information about this stats. Sorry, and now you would be able to switch to the GLMR and MOVR. And here you would be able to see pretty much the same content. So you can see that we have the total stake tokens in the network. We have the minimum stake, to initiate the staking basically in the network, which is 50 GLMR right now on the Moonbeam, and which is 5 MOVR on the Moonriver, right? We can see the amount of active delegators or active users who delegated their tokens for staking or to the collators, right? Or how many people are actually staking in the network. So we can see that for Moonriver it was 5,000 something, and for the Moonbeam it's 11,000. We can see that the staking period is pretty much the same as for the for the Polkadot and Kusama staking. So you can stake as long as you wish. That's a major difference with the staking which you can get on centralized exchanges when they allocate you certain time slots, let's say, for your staking to be active, but provide you usually a high percentage. And finally, we have here unstaking period. And for the parachains, not only for Moonbeam and Moonriver to be specific, but overall for the parachains, that would be slightly different story comparing to the Moonbeam and, sorry, I'm making this mistake all the time, to the Polkadot and Kusama staking, because if we will go to something like Polkadot.js or any other tool which allows us to see the block production time, that's the top left part here. Let me zoom in for you. So we can see that something like a target block production time is 6 seconds on the Kusama and on the Polkadot. So it means that that's basically an ideal velocity for block production, right? And we can see basically the real time, which usually is very close to the 6 seconds. So sometimes it's probably 5, sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's 8, but it's very close to the 6, right? However, if we're going to switch to any of the parachains and including the Moonriver, we can see that the target is actually 12 seconds, right? So it's twice more than the relay chain or the Polkadot and Kusama. And the real block production, we can see that it goes even beyond that. So it goes like a 12, 20, and now it's reset. So instead of being very close to these 12 seconds, on the parachains, we have a picture that the block production is slightly, it takes a bit more time than the target block production. Sometimes it's a small derivation, and sometimes it's pretty much high. So on certain parachains, you can see that the block production is something like 40 seconds or 50 seconds, right? So for the Moonriver, we see that sometimes it's 20 seconds, which is fine, but that plays important role for our staking user interface, because what we are doing in No Wallet, we actually tell the users about unstaking period or any information related to the time in how human beings prefer to have work with the time, like with the seconds, minutes, hours, right? However, in reality, what would be fair or what would be precise thing to do is to have information in the blocks, right? Or in the block production time. However, that's not something what would be convenient for user to observe, right? So instead of showing like how many blocks it takes for your tokens to be unstaked, we have to show the real time, like minutes, like days or hours, right? And that's actually a very tricky thing to support for parachains, including Moonbeam and Moonriver, right? So that's why we had to spend additional effort just to make sure to provide the most accurate data as possible. Because if we wouldn't do this correction to the situation which I just explained, we would just say like, hey, to unstake your tokens on Moonbeam, it takes 7 days, right? However, in reality, it takes 7 days and 8 hours for Moonbeam. And if we will switch to the Moonriver, it even gets, well, not worse, but even goes beyond that. So instead of saying that it takes 2 days to unstake the tokens on Moonriver, we are saying that basically it takes 3 days and 13 hours just because of this delay to provide the most relevant information for the users, right? Because otherwise we would lie to the users and users would complain to us and to any other application, basically. So yeah, that's a very important thing to do. We will still consider how we can improve this display of that information, right? Because not every user is familiar with this symbol, which is actually means that estimated or approximate, right? But all in all, we just implemented our method to how to calculate this information, and now the job is to represent it. But even that is working pretty much well. So we already did this, right? So information about staking in Moonbeam and Moonriver. And the next block is basically estimated earnings for staking MOVR or to staking the Moonbeam tokens, or MOVR and GLMR, right? So it's pretty much the same. So you get the monthly percentage, the yearly percentage, and then you can see the information about like a top APR and the average APR for the Moonbeam and Moonriver networks. So you can see this information right now on your screen, the differences between GLMR and MOVR staking, right? And yeah, that's basically it. And in addition to this, we also implemented right now fetching the total amount for your account, which are already allocated to the stake. So kind of what we have in the Polkadot and Kusama widget with your stake, showing how much tokens you allocated to the stake. And so we can see that basically it's 3,000 something to this account. And if we will go to the Moonbeam DApp, let's just try to verify this information real quick. And we will see, is it really the same amount or not? All right. Yeah, just to remind you, you can already explore not only the staking, but any operation which Moonbeam or Moonriver DApp allows you to do from no wallet by just going to DApp and selecting their application from that catalog and do anything here. But yeah, we are now focusing on forging all this experience in the nice way on the Nova native user interface. So yeah, let's see what we have for staking here. We have 2 collators with basically 2,000 GLMR staked and 1,300 something, right? Which results in the same amount actually. So that number is accurate and that number is working, as well as the status. So yeah, that's the progress so far what we have here. Yeah, by the way, feel free to express any questions and we will switch to the prototypes, just to see what else we will have for the Moonbeam and Moonriver staking. So we have a couple of the prototypes here available. let me see. Right, so we have the start staking flow, the stake more flow, unstake flow. I'm talking about the top left corner of this thing. Then we have the flow when you unstaking the whole amount, and then the managing the collator. So let's go one by one. So the start stake, let me also, yeah, it would be tricky to do in a nice way. So sorry about sharing in this format. So let's see how start staking will work. So we press the start staking. Now we see a screen in which you need to select the collator, enter the amount, see approximate rewards for your staking, see information about minimal stake and the network fee, of course. Right. So the first thing that users will have to do is to select a collator, and that would be pretty much in the convenient way because we will show all the collators actively selected in the network. Like in this case, it's Moonbeam network, and we will sort by default by the rewards that they produce together with your stake. And as well as showing the rewards, we will also show the minimal stake, which requires to be staked with this collator. While that's not really relevant for the Moonriver because the minimal in the network and the minimal for the collator staking is almost the same. It's like 5 Moonriver tokens. However, for the Moonbeam staking, that's the thing to consider because the technical minimum in the network is a 50 GLMR tokens, while the real minimum for each collator varies and varies significantly. So you can see that for example, yeah, that's a mockup, but that's pretty much the real situation, right? So you can see that some collators in the Moonbeam, they actually require you to have something like 500 or even 800 GLMR tokens. So that's definitely some information which you have to take into account when you're staking on the Moonbeam, right? Of course, we will have the search and the filter options. So you can do all this thing. You can switch to sorting by the minimal stake. And in this case, we will still show you both metrics just to make the experience more convenient, right? So now you will have the basically ascending sort by the minimum stake so that it will be easier for you to select the collator, as well as you will see the rewards rate or APR of these collators, right? So let's select one of the collator here. And now we will enter the amount, right? And now you see the information about the rewards, which are relevant for this particular collator, which is stake fish here, and for this particular amount, which is basically 120 something GLMR per year, and the fiat value of that. We also will update the information about the minimal staking for each collator, so that you will see basically the very relevant information for your particular stake for this particular collator. Once we tap done, we press continue, and then basically we have a confirmation screen pretty much similar to what we have for Polkadot and Kusama staking, but with all this information about the timing or block production as well provided as a hints, right? So instead of just showing the user that, hey, the unstaking period is 7 days, and hey, the rewards production is 6 hours, we will define and put the most relevant information so that users will always understand the real picture instead of this. I don't want to call them fake numbers, but that's just a different numbers from the reality, right? And yeah, that's basically it. The rest of the screen will be pretty much the same. You will have the staking management options, which for the Moonbeam and Moonriver would be just to stake more, to unstake, and to see your collators and manage them, right? And then you have your rewards, and then you have your stake. So that's about the initializing staking. Now, moving to stake more use case, that pretty much would be the similar to the start staking with some nice additions. So if you would like to stake more tokens on the Moonbeam, you will tap the stake more, and now by default, you will have the same collator with whom you already staking your tokens, right? And if you want to introduce a new collator or select another collator with whom you're staking, that would be very convenient for you to do in this kind of opened window here, right? So if I would like to basically select the new collator, I will select once again the collator from the list. I will enter the amount, and the flow is pretty much the same, right? with a note that basically, I think I skipped it, but sorry, but on the confirmation screen, we are basically saying that your rewards will be increased by that new stake more amount in the next rounds, which is basically like 6 hours something. So that's about the stake more. For the unstake flow, once again, the user interface will adapt to be very familiar for the user. So you will again see the collator on the top, the amount slightly below, and then more information, which is minimum stake and the transferable amount on your account, the network fee, and the all hints are there. Now, there are some important corner cases here to be considered, and we will just review them. So first, as for the collators, you can select easily them as we already discussed and demonstrated. But as for the amount, I would like to show you basically 3 cases. So first one, we will consider to unstake 300 GLMR tokens, while the minimum stake is 400 GLMRs, and the total stake amount is 401 GLMR tokens, right? So it should result in having only 100 GLMRs in this collator, right? So let's try to do this. And in this case, no wallet will warn the user that if the user would like to proceed of unstaking these tokens, in this case, those 100 tokens will not produce any reward, right? Because that below the minimum of this collator, which is 400, right? So in this case, we have 2 options, either proceed and to not receive any rewards from this collator and our stake, or we can go back and modify this information. So let's try to modify this. And we will try to modify it to 360 GLMR, right? So in this case, we will have only 40 GLMR tokens left in stake for this collator, but that also not doable because, well, that's the previous case was doable, but that's also a corner case to be considered. So the 40 GLMR stake is actually less than the technical minimum amount of GLMR tokens to be staked on the Moonbeam network. So let's see what application will say in this case. In this case, and we have the same thing for the Kusama and the Polkadot staking, but here's what's happening. So no wallet suggests you to unstake everything because you cannot, in this particular situation, or overall, you cannot leave less than 50 GLMR to be staked, right? So you either unstake and have slightly or above 50 GLMR tokens, or you have to unstake everything. So now user again have 2 options, either proceed, and that will unstake the whole amount, right? So whole 400 something GLMRs would be unstaked, or they can cancel and modify the amount, right? So let's tap the proceed. And once again, we have the hints that unstaking period takes 7 days, 7 something days. Let's not forget about this difference. During the unstaking period, tokens produce no rewards and so on. So all hints are there. And once we confirm, we again have the same flow. Sorry, we have the same flow showing you how much tokens you have in unstaking, how much time you need to wait. And once that would be available, you would be able to redeem the tokens. So once we tap the redeem, you show you confirm this information, confirm, and here you go, you got your tokens back. Now, stop staking is pretty much this similar use case. That's actually the same use case, which we just reviewed. So let's go to the collators. The collators actually allow you to see in the same way you can view your validators on Polkadot and Kusama, but now you can see all different statuses for your collators. So first status is elected and collators with whom you are producing rewards. So we show how much tokens you stake with them, we show the APR rate, and you can see the details about this collator as well, right? The next section is basically, we're showing the collators which are actually active. So they're selected by the network, and even some delegators are having rewards with them. But your particular stake, unfortunately, is allocated to the oversubscribed part. So that's why we show you that, hey, your collator is basically producing no rewards just because it's being oversubscribed and you're out of this list. So consider to do something, right? And we will have the similar alert. And the third status, which can be possible, right? That particular collator which you just selected to start staking with, that collator is not elected by the Moonbeam network, right? So nobody is generating rewards together with this collator, even the collator itself, right? Themselves. So yeah, now regarding the management. So we have two options basically. Either you just tap on this collators and you will see the pop-up menu, or you just press here like a change, and you have two options like stake more or unstake, and then you can select any of the collator here, right? And the similar goes for the unstaking, right? So both ways are doable. So you can start from here or you can start from your collator. So whatever you prefer, right? It's available on no wallet, right? So yeah, that's basically it for what we have for Moonbeam and Moonriver staking in plans. So are there any questions? And let me slowly go back to our slides. To talk about cross-chain transfers. Now, the cross-chain transfers is already also something that we have in the Moonbeam grant, right? And for the cross-chain transfers, you actually can expect that we will support those which are connected with Moonbeam and Moonriver, because that's kind of in the scope of those networks, right? And the grant. But basically, you can see that the part of the user interface here, we have a different options, which we can also review. But our goal is to make, well, first to provide the options for users to do the cross-chain transfers from the no wallet, right? Because those are starting to be really, yeah. So lots of users would like to see the cross-chain transfers nowadays, because we have more and more parachains, all of them starting to cooperate with each other, and you can manage your tokens and move them from one chain to another. And the thing is that we have so many different dApps in terms of the user interface, user experience, right? So we would like to solve this in no wallet by providing the united flow to move your tokens from one chain to another, right? Just to make sure that users won't be lost, right? So yeah, let's see what we have for the cross-chain prototypes, cross-chain transfers, sorry, in terms of the mockups and prototypes. Let's go back in Figma, switch to the cross-chain, and enable the prototypes. So we have multiple options, and all of them pretty much the same. So to reach cross-chain transfer, that would require you to basically go from the asset screen, right from that one, to go to the token, to press send. And by default, that would be just basically a regular send inside of this network. So inside of, let's say, Kusama network, right? But you will have an option to do the cross-chain operations now. So you tap here the cross-chain, and then you can basically do the thing. So the different options that we have here is basically a differences in the user interface. So you see that the cross-chain button would be shown in this way. Yeah, basically you can turn off and turn on. Nice addition, what we came up with is basically, in addition to what you can do already with kind of on-chain transfers, like paste your address using one button or scan QR code with the address. For the cross-chain transfers, it's extremely useful to have a button named myself, which means that you basically sending your tokens to your account, but on the different network, right? So that would be extremely useful button here to consider. And that's basically taking your address. Yeah, no copy paste, exactly. So that's basically taking your address which you have in your wallet in the Nova, right? For that particular network. So in this case, that will basically allow, or not allow, but that basically will after paste my Moonriver address, which associated with my wallet from which I started the transaction. So with the Kusama wallet, basically. Yeah, so that the second option, how we can show it. Another option is very similar to what we have right now. And we have kind of two variations. So by default, if we're talking about on-chain transfer, it will show you the information about like sending Kusama from Kusama to Kusama, right? And here you can select any other network like Moonriver, let's say, and here you're switching to the cross-chain transfer, right? And the second option would be very similar. So it's just like transfers looking right now. So if I go to the sending Kusama, we can see that I cannot do anything here with Kusama, but once we enable the cross-chain transfers, you will see an option to basically select different networks to enable the cross-chain. So for example, select Moonriver, and now we are basically in the cross-chain transfer mode. And we can go back to Kusama to enable on-chain mode. So we have a different user interfaces. Let us know which you like the most, or let us know if you have any suggestions, because, and that's the next slide, because we have a new process for suggesting a feature in the No Wallet, right? So you can go to our website, which is kenny.io No Wallet, I think. Let me check it real quick. Oh, it's nowallet.kenny.io, right? And here you can submit any feature request, any feature idea, or even review existing ones. So we can see that a bunch of them already created, right? So you can vote on all of them. You can leave the comments, you can discuss. So how we're going to utilize that is to basically, we are going to review all of this feature list pretty much soon. Once we will proceed with composing the new Kusama Treasury proposal. So that's kind of correlates with No Wallet idea being the community-oriented application. So we would like to listen and to have a process which focused on, let's say, requirements elicitation from the community, right? And then we would like to structure it so that everyone can comment, everyone can vote. And then we would like to include that feature suggestions basically to our Kusama Treasury proposal with a note that basically, hey, that's what community would like to see in our applications. That's not something that we would came up with. So yeah, feel free to review and submit your feature requests. For example, if you have an idea how we should do the cross-chain transfers, or what tokens we should add to be able to stake, or I don't know, any other feature which you would like to see in No Wallet, feel free to go on this link and basically submit your idea. So we will review and evaluate all the feature requests, right? Because we have a limited resources to develop, but still we are reviewing this list by daily basis. So every team member, I think, watching this list from time to time. And once we will start to create the next Kusama Treasury proposal, we will, of course, use all this feature requests and evaluate each of them. And moreover, after we will submit the next Kusama Treasury proposal, we are not going to just forget about this thing. Instead, we are going to maintain the process in the future. Therefore, community will always have a way to express their ideas, suggestions, just to shape the No Wallet in the way how it should be as a community application, right? So yeah, feel free to submit your ideas. And let's talk briefly about the roadmap. So in terms of the roadmap, not much changed comparing to our previous demo, right? So we are still in the process of executing Moonbeam grant. So we have some great progress, I would say, for Moonbeam and GLMR staking already in our applications, right? We have all mockups for the user interface and user experience defined and reviewed. So what else we need to do is just to proceed with implementation, right? And the second part here is basically the cross-chain transfer, since they're also part of the Moonbeam grant. So that's a priority for us as well. And in parallel, we're preparing and submitting new proposal. Once again, submit your suggestions using our kenny.io link. And in parallel as well, we're exploring and communicating with different parachain teams just to plan upfront for like end of this year, the next, starting the next year and so on, just to saturate our roadmap, which is, by the way, currently in the refinement phase. So expect us to announce the updates for it soon. So yeah, that's basically what's next for the No Wallet. And that's basically it from our side. Thank you everyone who participated and who joined us today. And I wish you a great day. Thank you. Bye.